Welcome into CBS Sports HQ. I'm Jordan Giorgio. We start off today's show with our NFL season preview, presented by Geico. Switch and save. Get more with Geico. 21 days until the official start of the 2025 NFL season. We can't wait for it. It gets underway September 4th when the Cowboys and the defending champ Eagles go head-to-head. Now, our own Douzable is with us to walk us through his playoff predictions, okay? A lot of question marks here for the upcoming season, but we're going to be taking you all the way up to the winner of the Super Bowl. And just buckle up, because there's a lot of hot takes in here. And by the way,
Are they really hot, Jordan?
Listen, I gotta tell you, I'm here for it. I'm a big fan, and I will say, most of your hot takes do come true at the end of the season. We hear a lot of "I told you so"s from you, so let's go ahead and roll through it. We're gonna go ahead and show the look at the AFC playoff picture, okay? And we begin here. You see the 2 seed. The Broncos sitting there, meaning you have them winning the AFC West over the Chiefs. Explain yourself.
I believe for the first time in 8 or 9 years, this will be the first time the Chiefs will not win the AFC West. And when you look at what has ailed the Chiefs, when you talk about making Super Bowl runs, it's been elite defenses, right? Championship-type defenses. You go back to that Super Bowl versus the Tampa Bay Bucks. The Bucks were able to suffocate Patrick Mahomes. Just look at last year, the Philadelphia Eagles and their defensive line. When you look at the Denver Broncos, they have a championship-type defense, and they added to it this offseason, right? Dre Greenlaw, Talanoa Hufanga, Jahdae Barron. These are all guys that are going to be frontline starters for them, and people don't talk about this D-line enough. They led the NFL in sacks. Nick Bonito was also in the running for Defensive Player of the Year. You see it right there, most consecutive 9. I believe this will be the first time after 9 years that streak ends because of the championship-type defense the Denver Broncos have.
Okay, we're starting off pretty hot here. No love for the Chiefs still this season, because not only do you have them not winning the division for the first time in 9 seasons, as we just saw there, but in your opinion, they also go on to lose in the wild card round to the Texans. Make it make sense for me.
Third time's a charm, right? The Texans, and then you look at history, they always go to the divisional rounds. They always play on that opening Saturday every single year, wild card weekend, and they go to the divisional round. I love what they've done with this defense. That secondary, I talked about the Denver Broncos being the best defense in football. That secondary is the best secondary in football. Derek Stingley Jr., Kamari Lassiter on the outside, also getting C.J. Gardner-Johnson, which had a scare earlier in camp, but it looks like he could potentially be ready to go when the season starts. And Kalen Bullock, who was a rookie last year, that had 5 interceptions, one of the best ball-tracking safeties in all of football. Now, I know there's question marks about the offensive line when it comes to the Houston Texans, but I have boots on the ground. I've talked to a few people, and they've actually stood the test early on in camp versus that really good defensive line from the Houston Texans. So I think C.J. Stroud, they refortified the receiver position. Christian Kirk is a name that I want to highlight. Not enough people are talking about him. I call him the slot assassin. He will carve you up in the slot. Obviously, Nico Collins on the outside, but I believe this is the year that the Chiefs lose in the wild card to the Houston Texans.
All right, so with that, we get to the AFC Championship matchup, and you have a rematch of Week 1 between the Ravens and the Bills here. Who wins is what I want to know.
I think Lamar Action Jackson gets it done this time. You just go back to what he said post-game in that divisional round, right? Like, something has to change. I have to take care of the football. And he has this look in his eye this offseason where he felt like they let one get away last year, right? Self-inflicted wounds, right? Drop touchdown passes, turnovers in the first half, and they retooled their defense as well. There was a lot of question marks about that secondary, Jordan. In the beginning of the season, that was probably the worst secondary in all of football. They were giving up like the most passing yards, but they go get Jair Alexander. Now, he has to stay healthy, but Jordan, when he does stay healthy, he's a top 5 corner in this league. Kyle Hamilton, one of the best safeties or football players in the NFL, and they still have that wily vet in Marlon Humphrey who can take the football away. So I really love what they did. And then also added Malachi Starks in the draft and Mike Green, who to me is a sneaky pick for Defensive Rookie of the Year. Watch out for the Ravens this year. I have them going to the Super Bowl.
All right, so the Baltimore Ravens headed to the Super Bowl. But let's find out who they're going to see. But we start in the NFC, and things kind of get crazy here. We're going to go ahead and show you.
Do they get crazy?
They do get a little crazy here for most people. We're going to go ahead and show you the playoff matchups as you see here. A lot to unpack, but let's go ahead and begin with the Cardinals winning the NFC West. This is a take I haven't seen a lot.
Well, our producer, Jack, can tell you, I've had this take for the last like 5 or 6 months, had the pleasure of sitting down with Jonathan Gannon at the league owners meetings. And the one thing that I love about this team, Jordan, is that they play extremely hard. Now, the issue for them the last couple of years, they haven't had the horses in the stable in regards to the defensive line. And you remember when Jonathan Gannon was with the Eagles, he had that front that could get after the quarterback. Well, now they have that. He brings over Josh Sweat from the Eagles, who knows his system. Calais Campbell, the Wiley vet, Dalvin Tomlinson, Walter Nolan. Yes, I know he's banged up, but it looks like he could be ready to go when the season starts. Now they have depth at the defensive line to really get after you. And people will also say, well, Kyler Murray, I don't know if I trust him. Now, again, questionable interception he threw in week 1 in the preseason. Kind of looked like a no-look pass. But Kyler Murray knows he can essentially maybe even reset the market if he does what he needs to do to get this team to the playoffs. And I just look at the trajectory, Jordan, right? 4 wins the first year with Jonathan Gannon. 8 wins the second year. Well, if you keep doing math, doesn't that equal 12 wins? I think 12 wins gets them the division this year. Also, Trey McBride, one of the best tight ends in all of football. I like the trajectory the Cardinals are on, and I have them winning the division.
Yeah, you mentioned some of the pieces there. Calais Campbell, they now have some pieces around them that know what it takes to get to a championship, win a championship as well. That was interesting. You saw the odds there. Right now, you can get in on the Cardinals winning the division at plus 370. So
hey, it's a good bet.
You're kind of convincing me here. Moving on, once again, you have the Commanders defeating the top-seeded Lions, breaking Dan Campbell's heart yet again. I personally love to see this, but I'm assuming this is all with Terry McLaurin.
Without a doubt, first and foremost, that is the business that has to be done. You got to have that guy right there, Jaden Daniels, with his #1 weapon, scary Terry McLaurin. You see it for regular and postseason. First all rankings and wins, total touchdowns and total yards. Jordan, he was unbelievable last year. And the thing about him, people are wondering, will he have a sophomore slump kind of like C.J. Stroud did? The thing with C.J. Stroud is his offensive line struggled. Well, Adam Peters did a really good job refortifying the offensive line for Jaden Daniels, so he is comfortable in the pocket. Laramie Tunsil, Brandon Coleman's going to probably kick inside. Sam Cosmi, I've heard he's actually maybe ahead of schedule, so they could potentially even get him back. Josh Connerly at right tackle. I love how they refortify that offensive line. You want to protect your franchise. You got to do that up front. Obviously, you need scary Terry McLaurin on the outside, but I've heard Deebo Samuel has looked really good in training camp. But the biggest thing for me is that defense. Their Achilles heel was the cornerback position. Mike Samuel was playing out of position. They had to put him on the outside because they didn't have the depth. Now they can slide him inside because Trey Elmos has played really well throughout camp. Also, you sign a vet like Jonathan Jones with championship experience. And I've heard Marshawn Lattimore looks like the Marshawn Lattimore they thought they were trading for. Let's not forget, had the hamstring injury last year. So I love what they did more specifically in the secondary. To me, that was the weakness. Maybe the strength of their defense right now.
You are getting the people going. That's
what we do. We get the people going.
But listen, you're kind of making sense here. I love it. Let's go ahead and get to another hot take. You have the Bucs actually losing the NFC South for the first time in how many years?
About 3, 4, 5 years.
That's crazy. To the Atlanta Falcons, who then go on to the NFC Championship game.
Yeah, so I have them losing the division, but I have them being World Warriors, kind of like they were in that 2020 season. Let's not forget, they didn't win the division that year, and they went on to win the Super Bowl. So, like, I love what I've seen from Atlanta when we talk about adding the pass rush. That was the biggest issue for them. They went and got James Pierce and also Jalen Walker to really come off the edge, and the savvy vet and Leonard Floyd. That will change things for them because that has been the Achilles heel for them. Love what I saw from Michael Penix Jr. in just 3 games. He looks like he's an ascending player. I have them winning the division, but I just think the Bucs, right, what they've done with the added weaponry. Yes, Chris Godwin, we don't know when he's going to actually return, but don't sleep on Jalen McMillan. I know everybody's enamored with Emeka Egbuka and how he's done so far in training camp. Jalen McMillan, let's not forget, when Chris Godwin went out, he stepped up and showed you he could be a high-end 2. Love what I saw from him in preseason week 1 as well. They have so many weapons at their disposal on that side of the football. So I think at the end of the year, they're going to get it together. They're going to be road warriors, and they'll get to the NFC Championship game.
All right, so we have our conference championship game set. Before we kind of look at that matchup, the Super Bowl matchup, and who's going to be the ultimate winner, let's go ahead and look elsewhere at some of the fringe teams. And obviously with the Cardinals winning the division, you have the 49ers missing out on the playoffs. This is another take that I haven't heard a lot because a lot of people higher in the 49ers this season. Bounce back, stay healthy, all of the things. Why no love for San Fran?
It's what you just said. Can they stay healthy? And they've already got hit with the injury bug so far with the receiver position. Doesn't look like Brandon Ayuk will be ready the first 4 games. Could even be longer better than that. And then when you look at it, I think the biggest issue for me, they haven't handled their depth issues on the offensive line. When Trent Williams went down, it was ugly for that offensive line last year. And then you also see, look at all the players that are no longer on this team, right? And then guys that have missed games. Drake Greenlaw is no longer there. You know, Travarius Ward is no longer there. Talanoa Hufanga, no longer there. Deebo Samuel, no longer there. So it's been a kind of a overturn of the roster. They're going to be depending on a lot of young, a lot of youthful players, especially on that defensive side, which has kind of been their bread and butter and strength, especially since Robert Saleh is back as well. So a lot of question marks about their depth on the offense and defensive line, which is how San Fran has won games in the past. So that's the biggest question mark for me. I know this, by the schedule odds, they have the easiest strength of schedule. But in the NFL, you got to show up each and every week. And we saw last year, when a couple guys get dinged up, it was a struggle for the 49ers.
All right, after all of this, all the predictions, the playoff matchups, all them playing out, you have the Ravens and the Commanders as our Super Bowl matchup. This is just cinema.
DMV, stand up.
A DMV battle. What a matchup that this would be. You have actually the Ravens taking it all, Lamar Jackson finally getting it done. Why is this the year?
I think it's finally the year. Everybody was assuming 2 years ago when they had the #1 defense in football, and they were #1 in a lot of statistical categories that year, that they would get it done. They just could not get over the hump as far as turnovers. I believe this is the year that Lamar Jackson throughout the playoffs takes care of the football, because when you look at that Bills game last year, it was self-inflicted wounds. I believe if they beat the Bills, they go on last year and they beat the Chiefs too as well, because that team was so well put together. I talked about what they've done on defense to refortify that secondary with Jair Alexander, Malachi Starks in the draft. Kyle Hamilton will be a free-flowing guy in the back end. And people always question their pass rush. But, Jordan, you know they were #2 in the NFL in sacks last year? Kyle Van Noy finding the fountain of youth. Got Odafe Owell on the outside. He had 10+ sacks. And I love Mike Green as well. But to me, the biggest thing will be Lamar Jackson will take care of the football this year and propel the Ravens to a Super Bowl.
He gets it done. All right. Plus 4,000, by the way, for a Ravens Commander Super Bowl.
Put your money down.
I love it. Ravens also, as you saw there, with the highest odds to win at plus 700, along with the Bills and Eagles. You can watch the NFL on CBS as it returns September the 7th. You can watch your local game always live on CBS or stream on Paramount Plus. Great job, DJ.